Ram, Hare Ram. Okay, so Hare Krishna Prabhus, welcome all of you. So we have worked out. I'm still in the village. So this is the best way we can have the meeting. I'm connecting through phone on the Zoom, and mostly it will not have any difficulty. Only thing is, my video will not be available for all of you. But anyways, most of our discussion will be based upon uh, reading the chapter itself. That will not be a big point. Yes. So I hope कि आवाज clearly आ रहा होगा आज, है ना? Is it clear to all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Okay, perfect. So yesterday, because of some delays and all, maybe in case if you have missed out what we were discussing, let us we'll just again quickly revise. So Pamanto, you can show the things, right? You can open the Subodhini. I will show you exactly what all things yesterday we covered and what we are going to see today. So you can open the Subodhini. This
Yes,
is
Prabhuji.
the
Yes.
Subodhini,
Okay.
fifth chapter. See the first 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 shloka was about Arjuna's question that whether sannyas or karma yoga, which one is better? And then second to sixth shloka, Krishna spoke about that how karma yoga is equal to, but it is easier than the sannyas, right? Which is the jnana yoga or let us say karma sannyas. This we discuss. Now what section we are discussing is shloka number 7 to 16. Here the description is coming about how one should perform nishkam karma yoga by fixing one's mind upon the atma, upon the knowledge of the atma. And by doing that, one can become free from the entanglement or the bondage. This is the section, how one can perform Nishkam Karma Yoga in a way that one can get liberation or one can become free from the bondage. So that happens basically when one understands about the knowledge about the soul and one just performs the duties. So that is what this section is going on. So yesterday we saw some shlokas. See the 7th to 12 shlokas. They're describing about that how does a Nishkam Karma Yogi who is situated in the knowledge of the Atma. So he understands that I am not the body, I am the Atma. Na? So what are the characteristics of a Nishkam Karma Yogi whose mind is fixed upon the knowledge of the soul. So we discussed in those shlokas that how he does not become entangled, he is very self-controlled, he is doer, yet he is not the doer because uh, although he may be performing the activities, but because he has no emotional attachment to those activities, he may be eating, sleeping, etc. But he has no emotional attachment, which means what? He does not desire to enjoy those activities. That's why he is not a doer. He does not get the results of those activities. In that way, he is not the doer. Although he is a doer, but he is not a doer. And and he works for the and he works for the supreme. He works with detachment. And what is the purpose for purification? Yesterday we discussed. Right? Purpose for him to work is what? Why does he act? For the purification of the mind. And in that way, by working like this, what does he gain? He gets the supreme peace. Uh, Achirena Shantim, that came, right? When he is able to get uh, he is able to get a permanent sense of peace that happens. So basically, if somebody works, if somebody performs the Nishkam Karma Yoga with the understanding of the soul, then what will happen? He will become free from all kinds of anxieties. He will not have any material anxieties because he has no desire to enjoy. When we desire to enjoy, when we desire to enjoy, then what happens? Then there are anxieties. If we don't get, uh, if we don't get what we desired, then it leads to distress. And when we get something as per our desire, then it leads to some, joyfulness. But in both the cases, it's a form of anxiety. That's the point. But a Nishkam Karma Yogi, he understands that how he is not the body, he is the soul, and he has nothing to do with this material world and material body. Because of his detachment, he is fixed in his knowledge of the Atma and he is peaceful. This is what we discussed. Huh? So, see now the section which we are going now, in the shloka number 13 to 16, Krishna is mentioning about the knowledge about the three doers. We also discussed about it, right? There's the initiating cause, There's a sanctioning cause and there is a instrumental cause. So the soul is the desirer or the initiating cause. सोल डिजायर करता है जिसके कारण बाकी सारी चीजें होती हैं. So the soul is the doer and the material nature is the instrumental cause because the material nature provides us the instrument to enjoy or to fulfill the desire of the soul. Right? So the soul desires to enjoy in different ways, and then the material nature provides different material bodies in the different material situations, environments for one to enjoy. That's the material nature is the instrumental cause. And ultimately, it happens by the sanction of the Lord. The Lord, in the form of the Paramatma, he sanctions those desires. That's the Lord is the ultimate cause, or Lord is the sanctioning cause, you can say. So this is the thing. So now Krishna is going to explain about this in this section 13 to 16. Why does Krishna want to describe about this? Because you know, uh, when one has this knowledge, then only one can have detachment. Like we are discussing about Nishkam Karmi Yogi. So why Nishkam Karmi Yogi is able to be detached from all those activities, even though he's performing the activities, but he's detached. Why? Because he is in the knowledge. He understands that how, although he is the doer, but he's not the doer. How there are different factors involved. There's a factor of the material nature. There's a factor of the Paramatma or the Lord. So what is the correlation? What is the correlation between us, or let us say between a soul and between the material nature and the Paramatma? So all this correlation, the knowledge about this correlation is known to a Nishkam Karma Yogi. And because of this, one is able to remain detached from the activities. One does not desire to enjoy those activities. This is the link is there. No? So yesterday we discussed. Okay, so in this same you can just go little down to the 12th shloka. So see 13 to 16. See this is about. So, आप आगे आएंगे ना जहाँ पे डिटेल दिया जाता है इसी सुबोधि में. 13 to 16 is knowledge of the three doers, right? So 13th shloka is going to explain about the role of the soul, right? ये कल हमने डिस्कस किया. 13th shloka हमने कल डिस्कस किया. So what does it says? What is the role of the soul? Right? So Nishkam Karmi Yogi, and he is performing the activities, but he is renounced in his mind. Huh. He has detachment in his mind. So he's performing karmas, but he is mansa sannyas. In his mind, he's detached from those activities. And because of this detachment, what is there? He's not affected by the activities of the body. No, because he has no emotional attachment to those activities. Like for example, like he's eating, but he's just eating for the maintenance. He's not eating for enjoying. He has no particular desire to enjoy in a particular way. So because he has no desire for enjoyment, so he's simply carrying out the activities of the body. So that's why he can be happy within the body. He resides happily in the body. Sukham vase. Because he has no emotional attachment. For example, like if the body is not in the healthy condition, still he is not disturbed because he understands that body is not in my control. It is getting controlled by the material nature, and so in that way he is able to reside happily in the body, and he understands that I am not the cause. I am not working. Neither I am making others to work. Like Krishna is mentioning that Arjun, it's not that I am going to make you work like this. No, don't understand that way. No, I'm not the doer. You are not the doer, and I'm also not the doer. I'm not also forcing you to do the activities. So a person understands that how because of my presence inside this body, this material body is acting in a certain way. But it's not that I am not doing those activities. Those activities are automatically happening as per what Swabhava I have acquired. So this was the 13th shloka about the role of the soul. That uh, uh, what is the role of the soul or Nishkam Karmi Yogi? And Nishkam Karmi Yogi is performing activities with detachment in the mind. Okay. Now, now if he is not doing, 13th shloka, uh, he understands that I am not the doer. Okay, if he is not the doer, then what is causing the things to happen, right? Like activities जो हो रही हैं वो क्यों हो रही हैं? What is causing one to act in certain ways? So that is about the 14th shloka. It talks about that how it is because of the material nature. Prakriti kriyamani gune karmani sarvashah, right? That the material nature which is made up of the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. So it is this material nature, the three modes which makes a person act. So that is only called as a sabhava. Sabhava means what? Basically, Swabhava is basically the influence of the three modes upon our personality, right? We do say ना personality. तो हम personality बोलते हैं या हम लोग जिसको स्वभाव बोलते हैं हमारा स्वभाव is basically the influence of the three modes upon us, right? So like all of us know about goodness, passion, and ignorance, right? No? Like suppose the goodness, the qualities of the goodness are what? In the goodness, a person is happy, satisfied, he has better sense of knowledge, he's he's thoughtful, he's contemplative, he's analytical. So these are all different qualities of the mode of goodness, right? Then we have mode of passion. In the mode of passion, what are the qualities? In the mode of passion, a person is always seeking a lot of enjoyment. He desires to get name, fame, prestige. He wants to work very hard. He wants to have a lot of wealth. He wants to have a lot of sense enjoyment. So these are the qualities of the mode of passion. Then there's a mode of ignorance in which a person is dull, lazy, crazy, mad. Now does some activities which causes harm to one, like intoxications, etc. So those are the qualities of the ignorance, right now. So when we say swabhava, swabhava means what? A person is influenced with some qualities, some of these qualities. So that is what basically constitutes a person's swabhava. For example, like a person is like, बोलते ना कि अरे यार वो बहुत जल्दी गुस्सा हो जाता है, उसका स्वभाव ऐसे ही वो बहुत जल्दी गुस्सा हो जाता है. ये जो जल्दी गुस्सा होना है, ये क्या? दिस इज द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ द मोड ऑफ पैशन. या फिर यार वो बहुत व्यक्ति बहुत आलसी है, वो सारी चीजों को पोस्टपोन कर देता है. ये क्या हो गया? This is Swabhava, or this is basically the qualities of the mode of ignorance. So in this world, what we have Swabhava, right? The appropriate word for this is conditionings, right? First time आपने सुना होगा ना, conditions, conditionings and controlled competition, right? Conditioned soul जिसको बोलते हैं conditioned soul, right? Why do we say as a conditioned soul? Because the soul is entrapped in this material body, which are having some gross and the subtle qualities. Like, we have material body which has some gross qualities. Somebody is fair, somebody is black, somebody is tall, somebody is short. All these are pertain to the gross body. And then there are some subtle qualities which we have. Now, like somebody is very greedy, somebody is very lusty, somebody is becomes angry very quickly. So they are the part of called as the conditioning. So both of these things, these conditionings, but what we have that constitutes our sabhava, right? And that comes from the three modes. In the 14th shloka, Krishna is explaining that how it is because of the swabhavas. Why one is acting? It is because of the swabhavas. It is because of the qualities which one has acquired because of his association with the material in the material world. तो material world में हम जो भी association लेते हैं, जिन भी चीजों का हम association लेते हैं, for example, like example, somebody takes association of very passionate people. Then what happens? He also acquires the passionate swabhava. Or somebody takes the association of the ignorant people, people who are interested into smoking, drinking. Na, then what will happen? He may also acquire that swabhava. Those qualities may get into him only. And then what will happen? Those qualities will make him work. He will want to drink, he will want to smoke, he will want to do gambling, right? So then what will happen? This mode of ignorance will make him work in those particular manner. So ultimately it is happening by the swabhava. So this is the theme of the 14th shloka. We'll discuss a little bit more when we enter into the shloka. So what is the swabhava? These are the conditionings, right? Conditionings, the deep rooted, the deep rooted qualities which we have acquired while being in this material world. The impressions, the the strong impressions which we have. We have very strong lusty impressions maybe there. Some very strong lusty and strong angry impressions are there in our system, because of which one may want to become very angry very quickly, or one may want to become very greedy very quickly. So they are called the sabhavas, okay? And then the 15th shloka is going to talk about that what is the role of the Lord. Right? Again, see, now we are understanding here, Lord is explaining about the role of these three people, right? The Lord of the role of the soul, the role of the material nature, and the role of the Lord. Right? What is the role of the Lord? The Lord does not, the Lord is not responsible for one's swabhava. Lord is not, it's not that the Lord is forcing one with a swabhava. No. The soul only desires certain things, and because of the soul's actions, he acquires a particular kind of swabhava. So the Lord is not forcing a person with a particular swabhava. We'll discuss more when we come to the show. This is what is there. 13th, 14th, and 15th shloka about the role of the Lord. And actually, what is causing one to act is ultimately the ignorance. This we'll discuss in. This is a tripod. There's a tripod, Uh, there's a super soul, there's a soul, and there's a material nature. All these three are interacting. The soul is desiring, the super soul is sanctioning, and the material nature is helping one to fulfill those desires. So this is the knowledge. So Nishkam Karma Yogi, because he has knowledge of these three doers, because of this knowledge, he is able to become detached. He is able to remain detached, and even though he's performing the activities, but he's not becoming entangled in those activities. Okay. So now let us come to the shloka sheet. Panpu, you can open now shloka. So we left yesterday on shloka number 13. खोल दिया आपने 13 श्लोका?
Just one minute, Prabhuji.
It's page number 23, huh? In the doc. Open हो गया?
Yes, Prabhuji.
ओके ठीक. तो देखिए 13 to 16 श्लोका जो है इसमें क्या थीम चल रहा है ना. ऐसे इससे जस्ट पहले क्या बताया गया है, द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ अ निष्काम कर्मी होगी, whose mind is fixed upon the knowledge of the atma. Okay, now so निष्काम कर्मी होगी, even though he is doing, he is a doer, but still he is not a doer, right now. So why how is able to be like that, that even though he is a doer but still he is not a doer. Why? Because he has the knowledge about this. He has this knowledge about the three doers. Because of this knowledge, he is able to remain detached from his activities. So this 13 shloka yesterday we discussed it, how this talks about the role of the soul. How uh, how a person is detached from all the activities in his mind. अपने मन में वो डिटैच इन सारी एक्टिविटीज से, और इसलिए क्या है कि बिकॉज ऑफ विच ही डज नॉट बिकम एंटेंगल्ड, है ना. ही अंडरस्टैंड दैट आई एम नॉट डूइंग these activities, and I'm not making others also to do these activities. Okay? So we discussed this yesterday. So Krishna is making Arjuna understand that, see, you are having this Kshatriya body, so you are going to act in a certain way. By default, this body will tempt you to act in a certain way. So that's the best is for you is what? That you act, but you act with detachment. Then what will happen? You will not become bound up. Even though you will fight the war, you are having a Kshatriya body, you are having a Kshatriya spirit, so you will have to fight. So, but if you will fight with this knowledge, then you will not become entangled by those reactions which will come because of the killing of the people. Okay. So now 14th shloka. Let us go to the 14th shloka. 14th shloka is talking about the role of the material nature. Okay. Open the shloka. न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि लोकस्य सृजति प्रभु, न कर्मफलसंयोगं स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते. See what is being spoken. Translation: embodied spirit, the master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of the action. All this is enacted by the modes of the material nature. Krishna Thakur's translation, if you see, the Lord does not create doerships of the jivas, nor does he force the results of the action on the jiva. This takes place by the jiva's nature. एक थोड़ा सा इसका ये क्या यहाँ पे चल रहा है. Open this, go little down. Krishna Thakur's purport, if you see, one of you can read this purport. Well, if the jiva.
Well, if the jiva is actually not the doer of activities, then from seeing the jiva doing and enjoying everywhere in the universe created by the Supreme Lord, I think that the Lord has created the jiva's illusory doership and enjoying, forcing it upon the jiva. Therefore, injustice and cruelty must be present in the Lord. No, that is not true
So
at
this is
all.
the conversation. So this is the conversation. Arjuna is asking, Are, before this you told that how a jiva understands that he is not the doer, But we find in this world that he's not the doer. Before this, but see, now, if the jiva is actually not the doer, but we find that how the jiva is considering himself as a doer, right? हर एक व्यक्ति अपने आप को doer मानता है इस world में, and he's trying to enjoy in different ways, right? So although he's not actually the doer, but still we find that everyone is thinking himself as a doer and enjoyer. So does it mean that this doership and the enjoyership mentality is being forced by the Lord? Is it like that? Because if it is the case, then it shows that it proves that the Lord is cruel, because the jiva is thinking himself as the doer and the enjoyer, and then he's struggling to enjoy in different ways, and he's becoming entangled. So if this mentality is being forced by the Lord, then that shows that the Lord must be cruel, isn't it? So then the Lord is answering. See, go ahead. No.
No, that is not true at all. He does not make the jiva do activities, nor does he give the jiva the results of his activities. Rather, the nature of the jiva in the form of his beginningless ignorance alone produces this. That ignorance makes the jiva assume the false identification as the doer.
So the Lord is saying that no, it is not the Lord who is making a jiva to think that he's a doer and enjoyer. No, it is because of the jiva's own decisions. The jiva is desiring to enjoy, and because of his desire to enjoy, he is covered with the ignorance, agyan. This will come in the next shloka. है ना? So it's not that the Lord is forcing this enjoying mentality or the doership mentality. It's not that the Lord is forcing this illusion upon the jiva, because of which the jiva is thinking that I am doer and I am the enjoyer. No, it's the jiva's own desire. He has a desire to enjoy. He has a desire to be a doer. He has a desire to assume the role of Krishna. That's why, because of his desire, the jiva is getting covered with the ignorance. And because of the ignorance, then what happens is he sees that I am the doer. This is the conversation. Anyways, coming back to the shloka, see. So this is very important. Nah. So, sorry. So see, the thing is, nah, the proper translation. The embodied spirit, the master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of the action. Right? So it's not the soul. Soul is not acting. It's not that the soul is acting, or it's not that the soul is creating the results of the activities. It's not that the soul is creating the karmas. So then, what is creating these karmas? Now, who is acting? Actually, this is all being happening by what? The sabhavas. Sabhavas pavartate. All these things, the jiva is acting in different ways, and because of acting in different ways, the jiva is getting the results of those activities. He's getting some karma, some karmic reactions. All this is happening because of the स्वभाव. स्वभाव means what? The material nature. The स्वभाव is what? तो यहाँ पे स्वभाव क्या बताए? स्वभाव मतलब कि है ना, the qualities acquired by the jiva, the qualities of the goodness, passion or ignorance, the three qualities, the three modes of the material nature. Because the soul has acquired, because the soul has come into this material world, material body, and because he has acquired the because he has acquired these three modes. So these three modes are forcing the jiva to act in different ways. Na? So actually the reason is the sabhava, that is the material nature, okay? That is being spoken in this world, okay? So see, we find that how in this world we find, see, all of us are helpless. We act as per the different modes, right? Uh, there's always a constant battle between the three modes. Sometimes the mode of passion overpowers us. Sometimes the mode of goodness overpowers us. Sometimes the mode of ignorance overpowers us. So, we will find what is our position. We are in the body, we are the soul. We find that how we just get carried by the effect of this mode. Right? Like sometimes helplessly we tend to feel lazy. Helplessly we tend to feel to postpone. Sometimes we are helplessly feeling lusty. Helplessly we feel angry. Helplessly we feel greedy. Right? So we are helpless. And we are ये जो स्वभाव है ना, स्वभाव जो हमने जो गुण एक्वायर किए हैं इस मेटल नेचर में, वही हमको काम करने के लिए फोर्स करते हैं. तो वही यहाँ पे बताया जा रहा है कि कैसे स्वभाव है उसके कारण व्यक्ति एक्ट करता है. आत्मा इज नॉट द एक्टिंग, द मेटल नेचर इज मेकिंग वन टू एक्ट. दिस इज व्हाट इज देयर. So let us read the purpose. Purpose is very nice, interesting. Any of you?
The living
Shambhavi.
entity, as will be explained in the seventh chapter, is one of the energies or nature of the Supreme Lord, but is distinct from the matter, which is another nature, called inferior of the Lord. Somehow, the superior nature, the living entity, has been contact with the material nature since time immemorial. The temporary body or material dwelling place which he obtains, is the cause of varieties of activities and their resultant actions. Living in such a condition, living in such a conditional atmosphere, one suffers the results of the activities of the body by identifying himself in ignorance with the body. It is ignorance acquired from the time immemorial that is the cause of bodily suffering and distress. As soon as the living entity becomes aloof from the activities of the body, he becomes free from the reactions as well. As long as he is in the city of body, he appears to be the master of it, but actually he is neither its proprietor nor controller of its. Nor controller of its
Hare
action
Krishna.
and reactions. He is simply in the midst of the material ocean, struggling for existence. The waves of ocean are tossing him, and he has no control over them. His best solution is to get out of the water by transcendental Krishna consciousness. That alone will save him from all turmoil.
Hmm. So see, the thing is, how? What is our situation? What is the situation of the soul? He's simply in the midst of the metal ocean, struggling for the existence. The waves of the ocean are tossing him, and he has no control over them. Right? हमारा स्थिति कैसा है कि हम जैसे कि किसको ओशन में अगर छोड़ दिया जाए, लेकिन जगन्नाथपुरी, many of you may have gone to Jagannathpuri, see, you will find one after another so many waves come and they just hash you. If you want to go for taking the bath, you'll find one after another so many waves they come and they just suck you, they just smash you. That is the same situation for all of us, that we are stuck up in this metal world, and we are constantly being uh, we are being constantly being tossed by all these different waves. So what are these different waves? These are the waves of the mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. All these different modes, they 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 force us to act in different ways. This is what happens in this metal world. Like, let's see, even after becoming a devotee, we can very easily see that. We have become devotee, we understand what is right, what is wrong, what should be the right desires, what are the sinful desires. But we find that we are helpless in front of our mind. The mind forces us with many bad desires many of the times, even against our own will. Right? Because those swabhavas are there. Because we have acquired those qualities from in our previous, before coming to Krishna consciousness, or even in our previous life. Because we have taken association of these three modes. Because in our previous life, if we have taken a lot of association of the mode of ignorance, then what will happen? We will have a deep effect of ignorance in this life also. We'll feel to be lazy, ignorant, depressive, all these other symptoms of the mode of ignorance. तो जो भी हमने पहले जिन जिन भी गुणों का हमने पहले बहुत संग किया है, उनका हमारे ऊपर में इफेक्ट रहता है. So that's our situation. There's always a constant battle between these three modes. There's a constant battle between them to overpower us. Sometimes goodness overpowers us, sometimes passion overpowers us, sometimes ignorance overpowers us. That's what happens. So that is a swabhava. And Gopal is writing, his best solution is to get out of the waters by the transcendental Krishna consciousness. Right? So the way to get out of this ocean is if we take to Krishna consciousness. If we if we stick to Krishna consciousness in terms of our practice, we practice Krishna consciousness sincerely, seriously, then we can get rid of this three modes. माम च यो अव्यभिचारेण भक्ति योगेन सेवते सगुणान संचितान ब्रह्म भूय कल्पते. राइट? तो थ्री मोड्स का इफेक्ट को अगर हमें रोकना है, तो उसका तरीका क्या है कि वी हैव टू स्टिक टू द प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ डिवोशनल सर्विस. जो भी गुरु के द्वारा जो प्रिंसिपल्स दिए गए हैं डिवोशनल सर्विस के, तो अगर हम लोग पकड़ के रखेंगे तो फिर थ्री मोड्स का हम पे इफेक्ट नहीं रहेगा. वी कैन बिकम ट्रांसेंडेंट विद दैट. दैट अलोन विल सेव हिम फ्रॉम दिस ऑल दिस टर्मोइल. वही इसको बचा सकता है. So this is the 14th shloka, which is talking about the role of the material nature. It's how it is the material nature which is forcing a jiva to act in different ways. Okay, next shloka now. Now, what is the role of the Paramatma? What is the role of the Lord? That is spoken in the next shloka, 15th shloka. Right? So now see, now, so see, now somebody may say that okay, I have got some svabhava. I have got some effect of the modes upon my personality. Like for example, like suppose I am born a suppose I am suppose I am born a Shudra. Now I have got a Shudra body. Let us say Shudra body means I will have a prominence of mode of ignorance in my system. So now is Lord responsible for placing me in the body of a Shudra, or is the Lord responsible for me to be placed into the body of a Kshatriya or a Vaishya ना, or a Brahmana? क्या लॉर्ड रिस्पॉन्सिबल है हमको इस सिचुएशन में डालने के लिए, राइट? क्योंकि अलग अलग सिचुएशंस में ना somebody is born as a brahmana, no, somebody is born means no, somebody is having a brahminical mindset, somebody is having a shudra mindset, somebody is having a vaishya mindset, no? So is the Lord forcing us with स्वभाव? ये क्वेश्चन है यहाँ पे. इससे पहले मैं बात किया फ्रॉड में कि स्वभाव इज द कॉज, स्वभाव इज द कॉज ऑफ वंस एक्टिविटीज, बट इज ना is the Lord forcing all of us with different swabhavas? So that is being answered here that no, it is not the Lord who is forcing us with the swabhava. It is because of our own actions that we are being we get particular swabhavas. We are only responsible for acquiring our own swabhavas. This is one thing. And why do we acquire those swabhavas? It is because of the ignorance. So that is the theme of this shloka, 15th shloka. नादते कस्यचित् पापं न चैव सुकृतं विभो अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानं तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः. Beautiful shloka. Na adate kasyachit papam na cheva sukritam vibhu. Vibhu means the supreme Lord. Like Vibhu. Vibhu means the omnipotent, the supreme, the omnipotent who has all the potencies, all the powers. So na adate. Adate means accept. Or the word responsible you can say. Kasyachit means anyone's, papam means pap. Na cha eva sukritam vibhu. Which means what? The Vibhu, the Supreme Lord, he is not the cause, or he is not responsible for one's one's sinful activities as well as one's pious activities. So Bhagwan है, Supreme Lord है, he is not the cause. Uh, it is not he who is forcing a person to act in a sinful manner or to act in a pious manner. No, it is not the Supreme Lord. He is not responsible. He is not responsible for a person's sinful or the pious activities. Okay, but then what is the cause? ना अज्ञानेन आवृतम ज्ञानम तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः. राइट, अज्ञानेन आवृतम. राइट, ये पहले भी ये वर्ड आया, राइट? हर चैप्टर में आई थिंक ये वर्ड, आपका ये वर्ड आया, राइट ना? व्हाट इज दैट? आवृतम ज्ञानम एतेन ज्ञानिनो नित्य वैरिणा. राइट, फॉर काम इट हैज कम. नो, आवृतम ज्ञानम एतेन ज्ञानिनो नित्य वैरिणा. हाउ दिस इट कवर्स द नॉलेज. अगेन हियर इट इज टोल्ड अज्ञानेन आवृतम ज्ञानम. द ज्ञानम इज बीइंग कवर्ड बाय द अज्ञान, and it is this agyan means the ignorance. Tena muhyanti, muhyanti means bewildered, na, or puts into illusion. Jantavaha, jantava means the soul, the living entity. So the living entity, his knowledge is being covered by the ignorance, and because of this because of this because of this ignorance, what happens is jiva acts in different ways, and then he acquires different swabhava, which is the cause of one's acting in different ways. So this is being answered here that it is not the Lord who is facing, it is not the Lord who is causing one to act. It is not the Lord who is responsible for one's placement into a particular situation. It's not that the Lord is making one to be into Shudra or Kshatriya or Vaishya. No, they are happening because of one's own choices. If somebody associates with mode of goodness, he gets the body of a Brahmana. If somebody associates with the mode of passion, then he may get the body of a Kshatriya or a Vaishya. And if somebody associates a lot with mode of ignorance, then he gets the body of a Shudra. So in that way, based upon our own choices, based upon the own choices of a soul, the soul is acquiring different situations. He is acquiring different swabhavas. The Lord is not responsible for it. Lord is simply a witness and a sanctioner of those activities. That's the role of the Lord. The Lord sees the desires in the soul's heart, and then the Lord sanctions those desires. The Lord is simply having a role of a witness and a sanctioner, right? Just like a judge. So a judge in the court, A judge is not the cause. You know, like one person is getting some punishment and the other person is getting some compensation or reward. So it's not that the judge is making it happen. No, no. A person is acting criminally, so he gets some punishment. And the other person, he deserves some reward because he has acted in some good way. So the judge is simply awarding the results of their own deeds. But ultimately, they are the ones who are choosing their deeds. This is the thing, you know. So that's why God is not responsible for the pious and the sinful activities. No. So he is simply a witness and the sanctioner. And what is causing one to act in a sinful or the pious manner? It is because of the ajnana, and the ignorance. Because of the ignorance, a person is acting in the sinful or the pious manner. Right? So what is agyan? Agyan means the forgetfulness of the real knowledge, forgetfulness of one's real position. Right? Ultimately, when a person forgets that I am a soul, I am a part and parcel of God, and one thinks oneself as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or a Hindu, or a Muslim, or a black or white, like all these bodily designations. So all these different bodily designations which a person identifies them, they are basically the part of ajnana, right? So same way, this lust, this greed, this envy, this anger, these are also different types of ajnana, which may be covering us in our life. You know, like the lust is covering us because of lust, then one tends to act in a certain way. So they are the different ajnanas. So these ajnanas are covering the knowledge of the jivatama, and because of which what is happening, a person is acting in person is illusioned. Person thinks in different ways, right? For example, let us say, for example, if somebody has got some brahminical capacities. Brahmana means what? So he will have a he, he will have good intelligence. He will have good intellectual abilities. He can understand. He can learn the things in a deep manner. He can know the things in a deep manner. He can be contemplative. He can be thoughtful. Okay? So now somebody has got Brahminical capacities and he has, suppose he's good into learning. He can learn shlokas very nicely. He can speak shlokas very nicely, that's right. No? Then what happens is, then because of this ability, a person thinks that, oh, I'm a very good Brahmana. You and then a person may become proud. So you see, in this way, he's getting bewildered. Although, how is becoming bewildered? Because ultimately he's thinking himself superior and he's thinking that I am a Brahmana, I have these abilities. So he's not able to identify himself with the soul. So in that way, even though these may be the good qualities or good things, but still they are bewildering for him. On the contrary, let us say somebody is still somebody is having grammatical capacity, but suppose less quality. He is not able to remember so much. He's not able to learn so much. Then what happens? He gets again covered with ignorance. He thinks that, oh, I'm not worth of I'm not a worth of Brahmana. I'm not able to remember so much. I'm not able to do this much. Again, now see, this remembering capacity, this recitation capacity, it has nothing to do with the soul. In both of the cases, if one is having good qualities or even if somebody is having a bad qualities, in both the cases, ultimately a person is becoming illusioned only because he is not able to identify himself with the soul as a part and parcel of the God. Rather, he is identifying himself with some external identities. So Krishna has mentioned that it is because of this ajnana, that ignorance, that a jiva is acquiring the jiva is acquiring different qualities, and then he is forced to act as per those qualities. He gets a particular sabhava. So this is the theme of this. So one important thing, see these sabhavas which we have now. See, sabhava means what? Our natural qualities. Somebody is Brahmanical, somebody is Kshatriya, somebody is Vaishya minded, somebody is Ashudra. They are coming naturally because previously we have taken different associations in our life. Because of them, these things are coming in our life. So now see, when we talk about these sabhavas, there are certain things in our sabhavas, there are certain things in sabhavas which can be dovetailed. Which can be dovetailed. Dovetail means they can be positively engaged. And then there are some certain sabhavas which needs to be curtailed or they need to be given up. Right? For example, like somebody has some propensities, some lusty or some angry or some greedy propensities. So now they cannot be doubted. They have to be cleared. They have to be given up. So these are some of the sabhavas which needs to be given up. They have to be curtailed. And then there are some sabhavas, which can be dovetailed very nicely in Krishna's service. Right? For example, like somebody is a Kshatriya minded, let us say. He can very nicely do management. he can very nicely be a leader. Somebody is having Vaishya tendencies, now he can very nicely think of how to increase the business for Krishna. Like in our temples, we have master's book shop, we have book distribution. So if somebody is having Vaishya mentality, he can very nicely make some good plans by which the distribution can go more, etc. Right? So there are some tendencies which can be used, right? Somebody is having Brahminical tendencies. Okay, he can think more, he can be more contemplative, he can be very deep, he can study Shastras very deeply, he can piece the Shastras. Na? Like our Chaitanya Chand Prabhu, very Brahminical, very thoughtful, very contemplative. So many wonderful reflections he has come across. So so these are Swabhavas. So we should also see in our life that what Swabhavas we can try to dovetail in Krishna's service, and what are the Swabhavas which we need to give them up. So here the Lord is mentioned at how it's not that the Lord is responsible. No, the Jivatma is himself responsible. The Jivatma makes a choice of choosing association, and then as per his association, he acquires certain modes, certain qualities, such certain Swabhavas, and then those Swabhavas are forcing a Jiva to act in different ways. So in this way, no, ultimately the Jiva is desiring, and then the Paramatma is sanctioning, and the mental nature is ultimately fulfilling those desires. So in that way, this whole cycle is working. See why Krishna is mentioning this knowledge again here? Now, because a Nishkam Karma Yogi, he understands this functioning, this roles, these roles of the Paramatma and the Jiva and the material nature. And because of this knowledge, he is able to remain detached from his activities. This knowledge of these activities, they lead to a detachment, and that's why he does not become bound up. This is the meaning. Okay, so please read the purport. Proper explains about this. What we discussed, proper explains in the purport. Please we'll read once, then we'll go back. Please read 15 purport.
The Sanskrit word Vibhu means the Supreme Lord who is full of unlimited knowledge, which is strength, fame, beauty, and renunciation. He is always satisfied in himself, undisturbed by sinful or pious activities. He does not create a particular situation for any living entity. But the living entity, bewildered by ignorance, desires to be put into certain conditions of life, and thereby his chain of action and reaction begins. A living entity is by superior nature full of knowledge. Nevertheless, he is prone to be influenced by ignorance due to his limited power. The Lord is omnipotent, but the living entity is not. The Lord is
Vibhu.
Vibhu or omniscient, but the living entity is Anu or atomic. Because he is a living soul, he has the capacity to desire by his free will. Such desire is fulfilled only by the omnipotent Lord. And so, when the living entity is bewildered in his desires, the Lord allows him to fulfill those desires. But the Lord is never responsible for the actions and reaction of the particular situation which may be desired. Being in a bewildered condition, therefore, the embodied soul identifies himself with the circumstantial material body and becomes subjected to the temporary misery and happiness of life. The Lord is the constant companion of the living entity as Paramatma or the super soul, and therefore he can understand the desires of the individual soul. As one can smell the flavor of a flower by being near it. Desire is a subtle form of conditioning for the living entity. The Lord fulfills his desires as he deserves. Man proposes and God disposes. The individual is not therefore omnipotent in fulfilling his desires. The Lord, however, can fulfill all desires, and the Lord, being neutral to everyone, does not interfere with the desires of the minute independent living entity. However, when one desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care and encourages one to desire in such a way that one can attain to Him and be eternally happy. The Vedic hymns therefore declares, "Eshayu eva sadhu karma karayati tam yam ebhyo lokebhya unisyate." Eshayu eva sadhu karma karayati yam adho ninisate. The Lord engages the living entity in pious activities so that he may be elevated. The Lord engages him in impious activities so that he may go to hell. Uh, Kaustiki Upanishad 3.8. Similarly, the Mahabharata 1 Parv 31.27 states, Agyo Jantur Aniso Ayam Atmana Sukha Dukhayo Iswara Prerito Gachet Swargam Vasva Abhramam Evacha. The living entity is completely dependent in his distress and happiness. By the will of the Supreme, he can go to heaven or hell as a cloud is driven by the air. Therefore, the embodied soul, by his immemorial desire to avoid Krishna consciousness, causes his own bewilderment. Consequently, although he is constitutionally eternal, blissful, and cognizant, due to the littleness of his existence, he forgets his constitutional position of service to the Lord and is thus entrapped by nescience. And under the spell of ignorance, the living entity claims that the Lord is responsible for his conditional existence. The Vedanta Sutra 2.1.34 also confirms Vaisamya Naigaranya na se sapekshvata tatha hi drishyati. The Lord neither hates nor likes anyone, though he appears to.
So here's the last paragraph, an important thing. The embodied soul, by its immemorial desire to avoid Krishna consciousness, causes his own bewilderment. Because we wanted to be independent of Krishna, we desire to forget Krishna, because of which what is happening is we have come into this material world, and then we are being loaded with all these instances of the three modes, which are making us bewildered in different ways. So, and also another important thing, and under the spell of the ignorance, the luminary claims the Lord is responsible for its conditional existence. So, and tends to think that Lord is causing one to struggle in this manner, but the Lord is not the cause. We are only the cause, because we are choosing to be into this material world. So, God is not the cause of our being into this material world. God is simply witnessing our activities, and Lord is simply sanctioning our desires. That's the role of the Lord. Okay? So this is about the role of the Lord. Okay? Next shloka now. So now Krishna is telling next shloka that how one can get rid of this agyan. That next shloka, 16th shloka. Jnanena tu tad jnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavat jnanam prakashyati tatparam. Jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah. Atmanah means the living entity. Right? Jnanen tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam. Right? One can do nash. One can destroy this agyan by the jnana, by the knowledge. The living entity can destroy one's agyan by the jnana. How? And what happens if somebody chooses to get knowledge? Tesham adityavat jnanam kashyati tatparam. As soon as one gets the knowledge, then what happens is everything is getting revealed. Everything gets revealed. He can understand about the soul. He can understand about the material nature. He can understand about the role of the prakriti, the material nature, the role of the Paramatma. So all this knowledge becomes revealed in one's heart if one desires for it. And what happens, just like when the sun comes or when the sunlight comes, and everything becomes visible. Everything becomes visible. Same way, as soon as one approaches the knowledge, what happens is one gets freed from all the agyan that is being spoken. And however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which science is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything. As the sun lights up, everything in the daytime. So because of the agyan, what is happening is that one is becoming bewildered in different ways. But if somebody acquires the knowledge, right, here in this context, the knowledge about the Atma, the knowledge about the soul. So then what will happen? Somebody will get the knowledge about the Atma, a Nishkam Karmi Yogi. If he will perform this yoga, then he will become awakened in this knowledge of the Atma. And as soon as he will become awakened in the knowledge of the Atma, then what will happen? He will be able to get rid of all kinds of different ignorance. That is the thing. No? Please read the purpose.
Those who have forgotten Krishna
Those who
must
have
certainly be bewildered, but those who are in Krishna consciousness are not bewildered at all. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvam Jnana Plavena Jnanagnihi Sarva Karmani and Nahi Jnanena Shadrasham. Knowledge is always highly esteemed, and what is that knowledge? Perfect knowledge is achieved when one surrenders unto Krishna, as is said in the 7th chapter 19th verse. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyante. After passing through many births, when one perfect in Krishna knowledge surrenders unto Krishna, or when one attains Krishna consciousness, then everything is revealed to him. As everything is revealed by the sun in the daytime, the living entity is bewildered in so many ways. For instance, when he unceremoniously thinks himself God, he actually falls into the last snare of Nishains. If a living entity is God, then how can he become bewildered by Nishayans? Does God become bewildered by Nishayans? If so, then Nishayans or Shatan is greater than God. Real knowledge can be obtained from a person who is in perfect Krishna consciousness. Therefore, one has to seek out such a bona fide spiritual master and under him learn what Krishna consciousness is. For Krishna consciousness will certainly drive away all nishans as the sun drives away darkness. Even though a person may be in full knowledge that he is not this body but is transcendental to the body, he still may not be able to discriminate between the soul and the supersoul. However, he can know everything well if he cares to take shelter of the perfect bona fide Krishna conscious spiritual master. One can know God and one's relationship with God only when one actually meets a representative of God. A representative of God never claims that he is God, although he is paid all the respect ordinarily paid to God because he has knowledge of God, one has to learn the distinction between God and the living entity. Lord Sri Krishna therefore stated in the second chapter 2.12 that every living being is individual and that the Lord also is individual. They were all individuals in the past, they are individuals at present, and they will continue to be individuals in the future. Even after liberation, at night we see everything in its real identity. Identity with individuality in spiritual life is real knowledge.
No, at night we see everything as one in the darkness, but in the daytime when the sun is up, we see everything in its real identity. Identity with the individuality in the spiritual life is the real knowledge. Okay, so Prabhupada is mentioning about identity with individuality means what? Personalism. So so the last layer of the Maya or the sciences is impersonalism. Those people who are those people who goes for impersonal path, they are also in the ignorance only. So, anyways, the point here is Papa is making a point at how if somebody approaches a bona fide spiritual master, then he can become rid from all kinds of ignorance. Otherwise, one may have simply a theoretical understanding, but he will not be able to act upon that knowledge. When one follows the bona fide spiritual master, then he can become freed from all kinds of ignorance. And slowly, what will happen? He will become enlightened in all the aspects of life. That happens. So Krishna is telling that how the gyan has to be removed by the jnana. Then one can be properly situated. Okay. So I think one more shloka we can read to end this section. Okay, 1 minute. 17th shloka. Tadbuddhaya tadbuddhaya sadatmana tannishta satparayana gachanti apunar avritam jnana nirdhuta kalmasha. San buddhaya tad atmana san nishthas. Tat means what? The supreme. Tad buddhayas. Those whose intelligence is always in the supreme. Tad atmanas. Those whose mind are always in the supreme. San nishthas. Those who see now Krishna is now speaking here about Paramatma. Till now, till 16th shloka, Krishna was mentioning about a Nishkam Karmi Yogi who is acting with the knowledge of the soul. But now, 17th shloka onwards, now Krishna is mentioning about Nishkam Karmi Yogi who has become more advanced and he also knows about Paramatma, about the Lord. And he's fixing his mind upon the Paramatma. So now Krishna is mentioning, see, when one's intelligence, his mind, his faith, Nishtha means faith, faith and his refuge, Parayana means shelter, they're all fixed in the Supreme. And then one becomes fully cleansed of the misgivings to the complete knowledge and just proceeds straight on the path of liberation. So 16th shloka Krishna told it how. Now again, Krishna is continuing the theme of the 16th shloka, at how just like the sun rises and the darkness is removed, everything is revealed. Now So same way, if somebody becomes enlightened, then all kinds of ignorance is being removed. And then what all further happens? When one becomes fixed upon the Paramatma, when one's mind, his intelligence, his faith, his shelter becomes fixed in the Paramatma, then what will happen? Then he becomes freed from all kinds of kalmasha. Kalmasha means all kinds of doubts, all kinds of confusions, all kinds of bewilderment. Nirdhuta, he can become freed from all kinds of these kind of doubts, confusions, bewilderment. And not only that, he will become, and he will be able to proceed straight on the path of liberation. गच्छन्ति अपुनर आवृतम, अपुनर आवृतम, राइट, जहाँ से वापस नहीं आना पड़ेगा, अपुनर, वापस यहाँ से नहीं आना पड़ेगा. So as one becomes more and more purified, how become purified? Right? See, initially Nishkam Karmi Yogi is only able to think about the Atma, about the knowledge about the soul. But now he has become more progress. He is now able to understand about Paramatma, the Supreme Lord. So as he is increasing his knowledge, what will happen? He will become more qualified for liberation, and his all the misgivings will also get washed away. Right? Baldev Vidyabhushan speaks about this. Those whose intellects are convinced of my qualities, whose minds are absorbed in my qualities, who have Paramatma their goal, who are surrendered to me, being washed of all the ignorance by that knowledge of my qualities, attain the liberation. This is talking about the Nishkam Karmi Yogi, who has come to the point of accepting Paramatma as the goal. He's not only having the knowledge about the Atma, the soul, but he's also one step ahead. He has moved. He now knows about the Paramatma. Okay? So this section is about how by fixing one's mind upon the Paramatma, Supreme Lord, how a Nishkam Karmi Yogi he is able to move towards the liberation. Okay? Please read the 15th purport. 17th purport.
The supreme transcendental truth is Lord Krishna. The whole Bhagavad Gita centers around the declaration that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. That is the version of all Vedic literature. Paratattva means the supreme reality, who is understood by the knowers of the supreme as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Bhagavan, or the supreme personality of Godhead, is the last word in the absolute. There is nothing more than that. The Lord says, Matta parataramnanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. Impersonal Brahman is also supported by Krishna. Brahmano hi parit pratisthaham. Therefore, in all ways, Krishna is the supreme reality, one whose mind, intelligence, faith, and refuse are always in Krishna, or in other words, one who is fully in Krishna consciousness is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings and is in perfect knowledge in everything concerning transcendence. A Krishna conscious person can thoroughly understand that there is duality, simultaneous identity, and individuality in Krishna, and equipped with such transcendental knowledge, one can make steady progress on the path of liberation.
Yeah. So with respect to a devotee has knowledge of the Bhagavan. He understands that how Krishna is having an identity and individuality. So then one can progress upon the path of the bhakti. So I think you can read the purport of Baldev Vidyabhushan. इसी में पढ़ो आगे. Read the Baldev Vidyabhushan purport. This verse describes the results for.
This verse describes the results for those who meditate on the Paramatma's qualities, such as his sense of justice. Those whose intellects are convinced of such qualities of Paramatma, tad buddhaya, whose minds are absorbed in Paramatma's qualities, tad atmana, who have made Paramatma their goal, tan nishtha, who have completely surrendered to Paramatma, tad parayana, pleased of all misconceptions by knowledge of the Lord's good qualities like justice, ज्ञान निरुद्ध कल्मषा.
Having destroyed their
Having
repugnance to
destroyed
the Lord
their
attains liberation. Repugnance to the Lord attains the liberation. Okay, so this is talking about an Nishkam Karm Yogi who has come to the platform of fixing his mind upon the Paramatma. Okay, till 16th sloka, it was about the Nishkam Karm Yogi whose mind was fixed upon the knowledge about the Atma, about the soul. He was understanding that I am not the body, I am the soul, and how the activities of the body are happening because of the sabhavas, because of the mental nature. No? But now so as one continues with this Nishkam Karma Yoga, then he gains more knowledge. Then he can also come to the platform of able to understand the Paramatma. When one comes to the stage of understanding the Paramatma, then he moves more quickly towards the path of liberation. That is a small slope. Okay? I think time is up now. In here, Hare Krishna. Any questions you have, we can discuss. I can hear you. I cannot read on the chat box, but I can hear you. If you have a question, you can ask that.
हरे कृष्ण।
Yes.
हाँ, तो जी इसमें इग्नोरेंस के लिए भी लिखा हुआ था कि जीवा इज इन इग्नोरेंस। बिगनिंगलेस वर्ड यूज किया गया था 2-3 जगह, तो वो थोड़ा लग रहा था कि बिगनिंगलेस मतलब
हाँ,
कैसे।
नित्य नित्य होता है ना, या बिगिनिंगलेस का मतलब क्या है कि उसका बिगिनिंग निकालना पॉसिबल नहीं है हमारे लिए। लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल हम बोलते हैं ना नित्य सिद्ध एंड नित्य बद्ध, तो वर्ड यूज किए जाते हैं। लाइक ना नित्य बद्ध मीन्स एटर्नली कंडीशन, एंड नित्य नित्य सिद्ध मतलब कि एटर्नली लिबरेटेड सोल बोलते हैं, राइट ना। तो जैसे जैसे जो कंडीशन सोल होते हैं हमारे तरह जो जीव होते हैं उनको उनको ना नित्य नित्य बद्ध भी बोलते हैं। तो यहाँ पे जो इस कंटेस्ट में नित्य का मतलब क्या है, नित्य मीन्स एटर्नल का क्या मतलब है कि मतलब इट्स नॉट फिजिबल फॉर अस टू फाइंड आउट कि कब से वो हमारा इग्नोरेंस स्टार्ट हुआ। व्हेन वी से बिगिनिंगलेस इग्नोरेंस मीन्स व्हाट, बिगिनिंगलेस मतलब कि जिसका बिगिनिंग को ट्रेस आउट नहीं किया जा सकता है। तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल लाइक when Jiva came into this material world, at what point of time the Jiva came into this material world, or at what point of time the Jiva desired to be independent of Krishna and to enjoy separately, that period, that time cannot be traced out. So in that way, our ignorance cannot be traced out. So when we say beginningless means the ignorance cannot be traced out. That is the meaning in that way. Same way when we say that nitya baddha, eternally conditioned soul, eternally conditioned soul. So that means that basically we are conditioned in this world, but since how long it is very difficult to trace out. So for all practical purposes, it is being referred to as that beginningless or eternal, because it is not possible for us to trace out. When at what point of time our conditioned life began. That is the meaning. Okay, so same way बिगिनिंगलेस इसलिए यूज किया गया क्योंकि वो ट्रेस आउट नहीं किया जा सकता कि कब हम इस मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में आए, कब से हम इस मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में एसोसिएशन ले रहे हैं मोड्स का, कब से हमारा इग्नोरेंस में हम लोग रह रहे हैं, उसको ट्रेस आउट नहीं किया जा सकता, इसलिए वो वर्ड यूज किया जा रहा है।
थैंक यू।
ओके, एनीथिंग एल्स?
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Guruji, I had one question
Yes.
regarding this. That Prabhupada ji said that only solution for conditioning and all these things are Krishna consciousness. But Guruji, sometimes
Yes.
we see that our conditioning and our anarthas are so strong that it does not allow us to take the shelter of the Lord by chanting holy name. तो और बहुत स्ट्रांग रहते हैं, तो जो सॉल्यूशन है उस पे ही हम अच्छे से नहीं काम कर पाते हैं। तो फिर उस केस में फिर इस तरीके से ये कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस का हम यूज करके कंडीशनिंग को पार कर सकते हैं।
So here Prabhupada was mentioning that how one has to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. So if one is sincere to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, then Krishna will give all the help. Krishna will give all the help. Yes, हमारे लाइफ में भी कुछ स्ट्रगल्स हमारे ज्यादा बड़े कम ज्यादा हो सकते हैं, बट देन वी ऑलवेज हैव अ चॉइस. We can always we can always take guidance from the from the sincere senior devotees coming in the parampara, and then they will guide us. They will help us. See, even Krishna is also open to our struggles. The Bhagavad Gita we find Krishna is telling, what is that shloka? Uh, how even if somebody falls down, 9th chapter, then Krishna forgives. What is that shloka?
अपि चेत सुदुराचारो भजते, यही क्या गुरुजी?
हाँ, अपि चेत् दुराचारो भस्ते माम अनन्य भाग साधुर्य से मंतव्य सम्यक व्यवस्थित हो हि स क्षिप्रम भवति धर्मात्मा शाश्वत शांति निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानी न मे भक्त्या. So Krishna is open to our mistakes. Krishna is open to our our fall downs. Krishna is open to them, provided that we are sincere. So that shloka, which is api cheta sudurcharo bhaste mam ananya bhav adhurya mantavya samagna. So there Prabhupada writes that how if somebody is sincere, no, if somebody is sincere, somebody repents, somebody is not able to control one's conditioned nature, one is falling down. If he is sincere, he is again his ananya bhag. Ananya bhag means what? He is determined that whatever may happen, I'm not going to leave the path of bhakti. I'm not going to leave the path of bhakti. I'm not going to leave the shit of guru. Nah, even if I'm fall down, okay, again I will work out. Right? For that person, then Krishna Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma. Very quickly, Krishna will give him the strength and the determination to follow that. Right? From our experience, we will find all of us initially when we came to Krishna consciousness, giving up the movies, giving up outside eatables, that may be difficult for us at that point of time. See, as we as we continued with the process given by the acharyas, then we were able to have strength and determination to give it up. It's just a matter of time. If we sincerely follow, then Krishna will give us the necessary strength. So, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma. Krishna is mentioning that, there in the purport Acharya says that, even if somebody has done a very abominable activities like murdering someone or having illicit sex, uh, still Krishna will, still Krishna is telling him to see the sadhu. Why? Because if he is determined to be in the process, if he is Ananya Bhag, which means what? He does not go to anyone's shelter, he remains in Krishna's shelter only, and he laments in his heart that, oh, what kind of devotee I am. I'm just saying myself as a devotee, but I just fall down. But whatever it may happen, I'm not going to leave the path of bhakti. I'm going to follow the path of the bhakti. I'm going to be in Krishna's shelter. I'm going to follow the Guru. One becomes more and more determined. Then for such a soul, Krishna very quickly gives him the strength to give up his all conditions that happen. In our life also, one very simple thing is we have to approach the Guru, guide in our life. For whatever things we are able to do and for whatever things we are not able to do also, approach the Guru, take help, because Krishna's ultimate purpose is to make us humble, make us understand that we are not qualified. Yeah. Our only qualification can be humility. We go, we approach, and we again strive. We again strive, try to be more determined. Krishna will help. God helps those who help themselves. Is a saying. जो अपनी मदद करते हैं भगवान की मदद करते हैं. Is it okay?
यस प्रभुजी। प्रभुजी इसमें थोड़ा सा और क्वेश्चन था मेरा प्रभुजी, इसमें जैसे सम थिंग्स वी आर एबल टू डू, फॉर एग्जांपल
Yeah,
मतलब
one more addition.
यस
One more addition in this. See, and being a human being, certain level of determination is expected from us. Like many times, sometimes Prabhupada will be asked by devotees that, Prabhupada, if you are not able to uh, follow the 4x, then what to do? Some initiated devotee asked Prabhupada. What was so heavy that, you have taken a vow in front of the spiritual master, in front of the fire, in front of the Vaishnavas, in front of the deity. What is the question of not being able to follow? Huh? If you're not able to follow, it means you don't have determination. You're like an animal. So being a human being, we can have a certain amount of determination for certain things. Surely, so we have to practice to be more determined. And if we take shelter of the gurus, Vaishnavas, then Krishna will help us to become more and more determined. Please continue with your question.
यस प्रभुजी, आई वाज आस्किंग दैट लाइक लिटिल बिट सम थिंग्स दैट वी हैव टोल्ड, लाइक जो बोला गया है वो कर पाते हैं हम, लेकिन प्रभु जी क्या होता है कुछ पॉइंट पे आके स्टेगनेंट सा फील होता है कि नाउ वी आर नॉट एबल टू प्रोग्रेस, एंड जैसे ग्रॉस लेवल पे वी आर एबल टू फॉलो बट एनवी इज देयर, एंड समथिंग विच आर नॉट लाइक उन पे कंट्रोल करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है, सटल सटल डिजायर ऑफ लस्ट एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स, तो वो जाके फिर प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट करती है। तो यहाँ पे पूछना चाह रहा था मुझे।
Hmm. Yes, there is a see, there's a path of Shanti and there's a path of Seva. Okay, so in the Vaishnavism, what path we are following? It's the path of Seva, which means what? We are here to serve Krishna unconditionally. Unconditionally, na ahetuki apratiyata we say na. Ahetuki means unconditionally, right? Na? So whether Krishna removes our anarthas or not, whether Krishna removes our struggles or not, but we should continue serving Krishna. Our goal should not be to become purified of the anarthas and all. Right? That is the goal for the Gyanis. The Gyanis have the aspirations, they want to become purified of the anarthas and all. For a bhakta, on the highest level, the bhakta's goal is to serve Krishna. And why do we want to become purified of the anarthas? Because those anarthas, they pose an obstacle for us to serve Krishna. That's why we try to, we wish to, we wish to eradicate them, but but we are dependent upon Krishna for the removal. See, in the path of the jnana and other yogas, a person works hard and a person is having an ego that I will get purified, I will remove those anarthas from my system, and he has that kind of false ego. But the path of the bhakti is the path of grace, but the path of bhakti is the path of dependence. No, the path of the bhakti, we have to depend upon Krishna. That it is only by Krishna's mercy, Krishna's desire that I can become free from all those anarthas and all. But I don't have to wait for all those anarthas to become eradicated and then I will start serving Krishna. No, I can start my service to Krishna right now, immediately, this moment. No, irrespective of all those anarthas and all. And that is in Krishna's hands. As long as Krishna wants me to suffer or struggle with those anarthas. See, struggles, if our struggles are giving pleasure to Krishna, what do you want to have? See, would you want to have our would you want to have struggles which are pleasing to Krishna, or would you have to have no struggles and not being pleasing to Krishna? Which is better?
Struggle is better, Prabhuji.
Having struggles,
If it is pleasing Krishna.
having struggles, having struggles which are giving pleasure to Krishna, or having no struggles and giving no pleasure to Krishna, which is better?
First one, Prabhuji, struggle and that
Having
pleases
struggles.
Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
Uh, yes, so that's our path of bhakti, right? Yes, that Krishna will keep those struggles for us, so that we can become more and more dependent upon Krishna. We can realize more and more of our insignificance. ना सपोज अभी आप बोलो जी आपने माला किया 2 साल माला 3 साल माला करने के बाद में आपको कोई लस्सी डिजायर ही नहीं आता है मान लीजिए, राइट? क्या ईगो हो जाएगा आपका, क्या प्राउड आ जाएगा आपके अंदर में, राइट? आपको देखो लस्ट आता है तो यू कैन बी हम्बल. I can fall down at any point of time. It's only because of Krishna's mercy that I'm being saved and protected every moment. You can thank Krishna for every moment. So, otherwise, if Krishna removes them, then what happens? We will not take shelter of Krishna. So that's why Kunti Marani says that let the struggles come because they help us they force us to take shelter of you. It's our conditioned nature that we tend to forget Krishna. Remembrance of Krishna is the ultimate gain. Any situation of our life, we can dawdle it for remembering Krishna. That is the ultimate gain, and that is the purpose of Krishna sending any situation in our life. The purpose of any situation is, or the end result of any situation should be that our remembrance and our our remembrance, our gratefulness, our dependence upon Krishna should increase from that situation. That's the goal of that. That's Krishna's goal. So we are not interested for removal of our anarthas. No, we keep it to Krishna. As long as Krishna wants to struggle, we struggle with that. So, but we are focused more on rendering seva to Krishna. And rendering seva to Krishna means what? Fulfilling the orders of the Guru. That's the Papa says, one should make the order of the Guru as a one's life and soul. That's what. We are in the path of the seva. Ours is not a path of Shanti. Is the thing. Anything
Hare
else?
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you,
हाँ,
Prabhuji. Understood.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
हाँ,
Hare
hearing,
Krishna.
hearing तो सुन रहा हूँ.
Prabhuji, as you have told, like, कि we don't want removal of anartha. So, Prabhuji, like one thing,
Hmm.
like when we do our seva, so
No,
this is
I'm not
anartha.
saying. I'm not saying that we don't want removal of anarthas. No, we want removal of anarthas, but our purpose is different. The purpose is, those anarthas pose an obstacle for us to serve Krishna or in our service to Krishna. So that's why we want to become freed from them. But becoming free from them is not our goal. Our goal is to serve Krishna, right? If Krishna allows those anarthas, along with those anarthas also we will continue serving Krishna. है ना? So our goal is not our goal is not our sole goal is not removal of the anarthas. Our sole goal is to serve Krishna. That's the point.
Thank you.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी.
Okay. Anything else? Yes.
यस प्रभु जी, ये जो 14th नंबर वर्ष था उसके परपट में जो विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर प्रपाद जी के परपट में है कि
हाँ.
वो सब बताते हैं कि लॉर्ड इज डूअर और नॉट, तो उसमें रिप्लाई करते हैं नो, दैट इज नॉट ट्रू एट ऑल. ही डज नॉट मेक द जीवा टू डू एक्टिविटीज, nor does he give the jiva the results of his activity. तो जी ये मेरे को थोड़ा सा समझ में नहीं आया था. nor he does give the results of his activity. एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए.
वेरी सिंपल. देखो जज है ना, जज जैसे जैसे जज है ना, जज जो जज होता है, कोर्ट में जो जज होता है, तो वो क्या क्या हम उसको बोलेंगे कि क्या वो अवॉर्ड करने वाला रिजल्ट? नहीं, देखिए, देयर इज अ सिस्टम सेट, there's a there's a code of conduct, there are laws which are made, right? If somebody does punishment, he should be given this kind of this punishment. If somebody has done this deed, he should be given this kind of punishment. So there are well defined code of conduct, there are well defined laws, and the judge is simply the, the judge is simply an instrument to give what one deserves in that way. Same way, in the material world, Krishna has made his laws. Okay, if somebody will do the pious activities, then he will get this benefit. If somebody will do sinful activity, then he will get this thing. So his role is simply like a judge. It's not that he's on his own giving the results. No, there are well defined results are already mentioned. Person acts in certain ways, then he deserves those results, and he just gives him a facility to get those results. That's the role of the judge. The point is that judge is not responsible for those results. But here इसमें क्या है कि judge is not responsible for the result. The person is responsible for the result. He desired to act in a certain way, because of which he is getting certain results. Right? Judge is simply an awarder, or let us say judge is simply a no, witness. Judge is simply a witness or sanctioner, you can say, sanction करने वाला. Right? लेकिन तो result का जो cause है वो कौन है? व्यक्ति ही है. Right? इस सेंस में यहाँ पे बताया जा रहा है कि he does not, nor does he give the result, the jiva, the results of his activity. Right? In one way, Lord only award. But why he is not the awarder? Because he is not, it's not that Lord is partially, partially भगवान किसी को ये दे रहे हैं, किसको वो दे रहे हैं, ऐसा नहीं. जो वो डिजर्व करता है वही भगवान को अवार्ड कर रहे हैं, सेंस में बताया जा रहा है. He is not the ultimate cause for one's getting certain results. Ultimate cause is the person one. ये बताना है. Right? Is that okay, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, I think. और कोई क्वेश्चन?
गुरुजी एक प्रश्न आया चैट बॉक्स में. The Lord engages the living entity in pious activities so that he may be elevated. The Lord engages him in the impious activities so that he may go to hell. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can you please elaborate this line little bit?
Yeah, I think this came in the 17th shloka, right? This came in the
15.
Just let me just open it. 15? Okay, 15.
Yes, Prabhuji, 15, Prabhuji, 15.
15 ना, जी देखिएगा आप सेकंड.
पट
या परपट में आप देखिए ना, सी थोड़ा सा ऊपर से जो मैंने बोल्ड कर रखा है ना, बोल्ड वाला पार्ट, उसके आगे देखिए. द लॉर्ड फुलफिल्स हिज डिजायर्स, द लॉर्ड फुलफिल हिज डिजायर्स एज ही डिजर्व्स. Man proposes and the God disposes. The individual is not therefore omnipotent in fulfilling his desires. Lord, however, can fulfill all the desires, and the Lord, being neutral to everyone, does not interfere with the desires of the minute independent living entities. Right? देखिए, इन जनरल भगवान किसी के डिजायर से इंटरफेयर नहीं करते हैं. लॉर्ड इज न्यूट्रल टुवर्ड्स एवरीवन. राइट? जो भैया जो आप डिजायर कर रहे हो उसके हिसाब से मैं आपको दूंगा. आप डिजायर करते हो मटेरियल एंजॉयमेंट, मैं आपको मटेरियल एंजॉयमेंट करने के लिए फैसिलिटी दूंगा. आप डिजायर करते हो लिबरेशन, आपको लिबरेशन के लिए मैं फैसिलिटी दूंगा. हाँ, लेकिन अगर आप मेरी भक्ति के लिए डिजायर करते हो तो मैं आपको अपनी भक्ति के पास लेके जाऊंगा. ठीक है? तो इन जनरल लॉर्ड इज न्यूट्रल टुवर्ड्स एवरीवन. However, when one desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care and encourage one to desire in such a way that one can attain to him and eternally happy. Right? तो ये जो आपने जो पूछा उससे पहले ये वाला स्टेटमेंट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि कोई अगर भगवान को डिजायर करता है, भगवान की भक्ति डिजायर करता है, तो फिर भगवान उसको हेल्प करते हैं. ये भगवान का स्पेशल अटेंशन है ना, क्योंकि भगवान अल्टीमेटली हम सबसे यही चाहते हैं ना, दैट वी बिकम क्लोजर टू हिम. तो इन जनरल भगवान किसी से इंटरफेयर नहीं करते उनके डिजायर्स के साथ में. लेकिन हाँ, कोई अगर कृष्ण के पास आना चाहता है तो उसके लिए भगवान उसको फिर हेल्प करने की ट्राई करते हैं, उसको ऐसी एक्टिविटीज में एंगेज करेंगे जिससे कि क्या होगा, फर्दर मूव कर पाएगा. राइट? इसके आगे देखिए दिखा भाई द वैदिक हिम्स डिक्लेयर द लॉर्ड एंगेजेस द लिविंग एंटिटी इन द पायस एक्टिविटीज सो दैट ही मे बी एलिवेटेड, एंड द लॉर्ड एंगेजेस हिम इन द impious activities so that he may go to the hell. The Lord engages him in the impious activities so that he may go to the hell. Right? So see, the Lord engages the living entity in the pious activities so that he may be elevated. किसके लिए होगा? कि जो जीवात्मा डिजायर करेगा भगवान के पास आने का, थोड़ा पुण्यवान बनने का, उसको भगवान पुण्यवान चीजों के प्रति अट्रैक्शन देंगे. और जो व्यक्ति कर्मी जो सिंपल एक्टिविटीज की तरफ जाना चाहता है तो भगवान उनको फिर सिंपल एक्टिविटीज में जाने का मौका देते हैं, फैसिलिटी देते हैं, दैट वे है। तो देखिए ये जो था ना श्लोका 15 श्लोका में जो भगवान ने बताया कि जो है ना द लॉर्ड इज नॉट रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर वन सिंपल एंड द पायस एक्टिविटीज, यू नो। देखिए ये क्या है, इन जनरल जो लोग कर्मी लोग हैं उनके लिए है, right? जो लोग लॉर्ड से कनेक्शन नहीं रखते उनके लिए बात की जा रही है यहाँ पे, राइट ना। लेकिन हाँ डिवोटी के लिए तो हम जानते हैं, फॉर डिवोटी द लॉर्ड क्लेम्स हिज सिंपल एक्टिविटीज। जो जो डिवोटी होता है उसके सिंपल एक्शंस भगवान ले लेते हैं ना, सब धर्मान प्रत्याज माम एकम शरणम भज हम तुम सब भावे भी हो। तो लॉर्ड के लिए, डिवोटी के लिए अलग चीज है। डिवोटी के लिए भगवान उसके पाप और पुण्य खत्म कर देते हैं, उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भगवान लेते हैं। लेकिन हाँ जो लोग डिवोटेड नहीं है, तो अभी देखिए यहाँ पे जो किसकी बात की जा रही है, यहाँ पे कर्म योगी की बात की जा रही है। कर्म योगी मीन्स व्हाट, स्टिल ही इज नॉट कम टू कृष्णा, so he has some he may have some personal understanding of the god, or it may be about a karmi also. For a karmi and the karmi yogi, lord is not going to interfere with their pious or the sinful activities. This is the thing, right? But for a bhakti yogi, lord will interfere with his pap and the punya karma. This is the thing. Is that okay, Prabhu?
So Prabhuji, this line is for Karma Yogi. This,
This line, which line जो आपने बताया वो वाला line?
the Lord engages oneself.
हाँ. Yes, the Lord engages the pious entity in the pious activities so that he may be elevated. मतलब ये जनिक सब लोगों के लिए है, कोई भी जो पायस व्यक्ति है उसके लिए है। कोई भी पायस व्यक्ति है जो पायस काम करना चाहता है तो उसको भगवान पायस करने का मौका देते हैं, ऐसा बताया जा रहा है। ठीक, बेसिकली लॉर्ड इज रेसिप्रोकल ना। कोई अगर पुण्यमान जीवन जीना चाहता है तो भगवान उसको पुण्यमान काम करने की फैसिलिटी देंगे। कोई अगर पाप में कार्य करना चाहता है तो उसको पाप करने का फैसिलिटी देंगे। दैट्स द पॉइंट। ठीक, जनिक वे में बात करें। मतलब अगेन सी इसमें एक अंडरलाइन चीज है कि एज पर द डिजायर ऑफ द पर्सन, राइट। पर्सन का डिजायर है पायस करने का, इसलिए भगवान उसको पायस करने के लिए पायस करने के मौके देते हैं। और किसका अगर सिंपल करने का डिजायर है उसको भगवान सिंपल काम करने का मौका देते हैं। तो स्टेटमेंट में वो इनहेरेंट है कि डिजायर भी उसमें इनबिल्ट है, राइट। डिजायर ऑफ द जीवा इज इनबिल्ट, इनहेरेंट। ठीक,
Yes, yes.
ओके फाइन, ठीक है। आई थिंक एनीथिंग एल्स?
तो जी जो आपने कहा था कि वो जो कर्म योग, ज्ञान योग, निष्काम कर्म योग, सकाम कर्म योग, इसका चार्ट प्रेजेंट
ओके,
करके
हाँ
बताने का, तो उसका प्रोजी कब तक, मतलब
हाँ हाँ।
कल का, मतलब
आई थिंक मैं आपको
नेक्स्ट
ब्रीफली
टाइम?
बता भी देता हूँ।
ओके
नहीं, मैं आपको अभी भी बता सकता हूँ ब्रीफली। आपको आपको
ओके,
कर्म कांड, कर्म योगी, निष्काम, सकाम इसके बारे में समझना है, राइट ना।
यस प्रोजी।
ओके, सिंपल वे में आपको मैं बता देता हूँ। मैं भी अगली बार ना भी बता, मैं शुरू में इससे नहीं लिया क्योंकि मुझे पता नहीं कई लोग शुरू में नहीं आते ना इसलिए। बट अदरवाइज इट इज वेरी
हम्म
सिंपल। देखो फर्स्ट फर्स्ट सबसे देखो इस मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में ज्यादातर लोग जो हैं दे आर जस्ट लिविंग अ इग्नोरेंट लाइफ एंड दे जस्ट वांट टू हैव एंजॉयमेंट इन दिस मटेरियल वर्ल्ड। So when so a person who has no faith upon the god, a person who has no faith upon the god and who simply desires material enjoyment in this world, उसको क्या बोला जाएगा? उसको बोलेगा कर्मी बोला जाएगा। कर्मी, कर्मी मतलब कि जो सिर्फ मतलब एंजॉयमेंट के लिए काम करना चाहता है, उसको भगवान पे कोई फेथ नहीं होता है, इट इज अ कर्मी। ठीक है, दिस इज द फर्स्ट कैटेगरी। देन यू हैव अ कर्मकांडी। कर्मकांडी कौन है? कर्मकांडी वो है जो वेदों को मानता है, जो हायर पावर्स को मानता है, देवताओं को मानता है, हायर पावर्स को मानता है, जो वेदों को मानता है, शास्त्रों को मानता है। और लेकिन उसका गोल क्या है? मटेरियल में एंजॉय करना ही है। तो देन ही इज कॉल्ड एज अ कर्मकांडी। So he may do want to do some yagya, he may do some upasana of some devatas, ultimately, but for what? For getting some material benefits. That's the कर्म कांडी। ठीक है ना। एक सेकंड ना, फोन थोड़ा
यस
सा $5। दैट्स अ कर्म कांडी। कर्म कांडी मतलब क्या है? जो वेदों को मानते हैं, है ना, देवी देवताओं को मानते हैं, हायर पावर्स को मानते हैं, और जो ये समझते हैं कि कैसे ना वी आर नॉट इंडिपेंडेंट, वी आर डिपेंडेंट अपॉन द हायर पावर्स फॉर अवर एंजॉयमेंट, राइट। सो दे आर कॉल्ड एज द कर्म कांडी, राइट। तो मेजोरिटी कैटेगरी जो होती है पूरे वर्ल्ड में, वर्ल्ड वाइड सारे रिलीजन्स को फॉलो करने वाली, वो मेनली कर्म कांडी लोग होते हैं, चाहे वो क्रिश्चियनिटी हो चाहे इस्लाम हो, राइट। बिकॉज मेजोरिटी पीपल who follow the religion in the world, or even say, let us say, majority people who follow religion in the world, they are basically they desire some material fruits, they want some material gain, so it's like a karma कांड। तो ज्यादातर धार्मिक लोग जो है वर्ल्ड में वो कर्म कांडी लोग होते हैं, जो कुछ material benefit चाहते हैं ना इन lieu of their religious practices, so they are called as कर्म कांडी। ठीक है
ओके
ना। उसके अलावा फिर कर्म योगी, देन यू हैव अ योगी। तो योगा वर्ड क्या होता है? योगा वर्ड होता है कि जब व्यक्ति भगवान से जुड़ता है, तो फिर भगवान में सुप्रीम से जब जुड़ता है, तो जो सुप्रीम भी है उनके भी 3 लेवल्स पर व्यक्ति सुप्रीम को समझ सकता है ना। सबसे पहला है आपके पास है ब्रह्मन, दैट हाउ भगवान का जो एक द लॉर्ड द लॉर्ड इज हैविंग अ इम्पर्सनल एफल्जेंस, से ब्रह्म ज्योति बोलते हैं हम। लॉर्ड कृष्णा's बॉडी, सन द इज अ लाइट विच कम्स, से ब्रह्म ज्योति बोलते हैं, विच इज परवेडेड एवरीवेयर। So when one understands that Supreme is only a Brahma Jyoti, it's only a light, they are called as the Brahmavadi. Okay? और when उसके हाई लेवल पे व्यक्ति समझ पाता है कि भगवान जो सुप्रीम है वो परमात्मा है, उनका एक फॉर्म है, वो निराकार नहीं है, बट वो एक फॉर्म है, उनका एक फॉर्म है, उनके भी इज हैविंग लॉर्ड विष्णु's फॉर्म, दैट्स द परमात्मा, एंड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ परमात्मा ही इज रिसाइडिंग एवरीवेयर, दैट्स द परमात्मा अंडरस्टैंडिंग। एंड अल्टीमेट इज द भगवान अंडरस्टैंडिंग। भगवान अंडरस्टैंडिंग, when one understand that how the supreme is ultimately a person like all of us, and he's engaged with his devotees in the spiritual world. The Vaikuntha, he's there performing his leelas with his different devotees, exchanging his love and emotions with different devotees. That's the Bhagavan understand. तो जब हम लोग बोलते हैं योगा, योगा में